delighted and honored to be in august company of Roshan Lalji Raina, Vikas ji, Dr. Rupa, and Dr. Jain. I think they are stalwarts from the education sector, and these are people who are the guiding lights for even enterprises like us who are trying to build some serious stuff in EdTech from India. I would like to start today's conversation with a very nice share that I always remember, and I have a COVID twist to it. So I think COVID times have given a different meaning to this. I'll just share the lines. One of my favorites. It goes से लोग हाथ भी ना मिलाएंगे जो गले मिलोगे तपाक से ये नए मिजाज का शहर है जरा फासले से मिला करो. And this is about social distancing. It's also about we have given it a twist. I think the education world is now grappling with thoda fasle se padhaya karo, thoda fasle se evaluate kara karo, and there's too many dimensions to all this which have evolved in the last 2 years because of the corona pandemic, as we all know. EdTech has taken the front seat in India, from direct consumer consumption, which is direct to home education, plus all the education that is being provided by the stalwarts like the ones that are sitting in the room today. So I would like to start with maybe a quick two-line introduction with each of you so that we can set the context, and then I'll share my first question for the panelists. So maybe Roshan Lalji Raina can start and just introduce yourself in a minute to the people, and then we can go away with the questions. I'm just going in the order.
Yeah. My name is Roshan Lal Raina, and I work at JK Lakshpat University. I'm sure everybody has heard about JK organization, which is 150-year young organization into rubber, tire, paper, cement, and whatnot, you name it. So I'm looking after the university set up by JK organization in Jaipur. The name of the university is JK Lakshpat University, Jaipur.
Wonderful. Vikas ji.
Namaskar. My name is Dr. Vikas. I am Vice Chancellor at ITM University, Jaipur. It's really an honor to be sharing the panel with all of you stalwarts. And Arpit ji, I really like the presentation about the product. You have made a very comprehensive product. I'm a very passionate teacher. Over my 25 years, I have positively affected, life and career of more than 5,000, 6,000 students. And I love what I'm doing. And with all these new technological interventions, I personally believe that, our voice is now reaching to far and wider, audience. So it's really a blessing in disguise for people like us that we are now able to share our thoughts with a larger audience. And thanks to people like Tanya, like Jeet, like Observe Now, that they are providing us this opportunity to share our thoughts with a larger audience. It's a pleasure, Arpit, to be sharing this, dais with all of you. Thank you so very much for inviting me here.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Let's go to Dr. Rupa.
Namaskar. Thank you, Arpit ji. Thank you, Tanya and Jeet, to have invited me yet again in the Observe Now panel. I am the Chancellor and founder of Bharti Engineering, Science and Technology Innovation University. We incepted this university. It's a state private university of Andhra Pradesh. We incepted it in the year 2018, a relatively new university, but doing a lot for cognitive skill development in backward areas of Andhra Pradesh. And it is very interesting, Arpit ji, the way you have cutting edge technology in the university management systems. I also appreciate the wonderful presentation that was shared to us just a while ago. And thank you once again. I look forward to our dialogues.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Rupa. Over to Dr. Jain.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. V.K. Jain, presently working as Vice Chancellor in the SAGE University, Bhopal. SAGE Group is a very old group, having its existence for last more than 20 years. And we are having 3 engineering colleges, 2 pharmacy colleges established in 2003 onwards. And then we established a university in Indore, Sage University Indore. And this is the new university of the group, started in 2021. So I'm the founding vice chancellor of this university and setting up the processes and systems and building up the team. So it's a nice platform given by Observe Now and other partners, Arpit Badjatya ji, Academia, by Serosoft, a good friend of mine for last many years because I belong to Indore. So, so there's a good connect with him. So this is really a wonderful platform wherein we all senior people can express our views and share our experiences that how we can move ahead with the betterment for the society and the students at large. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for that. Let's get started. I would pose my first question, building on to the share that I shared, where I said that it is about remote learning, distance learning, teaching with technology, using different tools that are available. All institutions have evolved and adopted some sort of automation in the recent times. So, Roshan Lalji, my first question to you is, how does automation, in your view, help optimize student life cycle in your educational institutions and in general?
Thank you, Arpit ji. Once again, before I respond to this question, I want to join all my esteemed panel members in expressing my most sincere gratitude to all of you who are behind organizing this kind of an interaction, right? I was listening to the concluding part of the first panel. I think the kinds of messages that were coming loud and clear from all of them are what is the need of the hour? What has to be done by all of us? If I answer your question pointedly, right? I can share with you a small little experience of our university. So that may give a cue and clue as to how have we handled this crisis, right? How have we handled, and indicating some prominent pointers, what could be the way forward? Well, whatever I'll be saying will be based on my doing a small little intervention for about 50 plus vice chancellors of the country, because they wanted to know from me, because as you would know, it's a comparatively young university. And there are pluses and minuses of being a young university. But I think there are more pluses than minuses of being a young university, particularly when you have to look at the ways of dealing with uncertainties of this kind, which COVID-19 gave us, right? So number one, I said this COVID in its color starting appearance in March of 2020. We know not only in the higher education space, but in the education space, as far as India is concerned, we are almost new to this online mechanism of teaching and learning process, right? We are new. Let us admit it. There are others in the West and best parts of the world who have been doing this for ages. And there are some organizations who have been, even in our country, like these open universities, doing this distance education. May not be resorting to online mechanism of teaching, learning, but distance education. But there are some universities who have done it. So understanding it, understanding the implications of what it is going to put in place for all of us. We know for sure what has happened with very many other sectors of industry, economy. Many have closed, but I think education responded to it very positive, very positive. It did require a little bit of tweaking here and there, fine tuning here and there, orienting students in the first place, orienting faculty in the second place, augmenting a little bit of infrastructure to begin with, because to begin with, we are not clear as to how far it is taking to us. We know we have seen COVID-1, we have seen COVID-2, and people are talking about COVID-3. We didn't know about this in COVID-1. So having done that bit of orienting faculty, getting the best of the best people from the best of the best institutions, not only in the country, but overseas, sitting with our faculty and making sure that they knew the nuts and bolts of switching over to the online teaching learning process, right? It took us some time. but we use that as a warm-up time, not compromising on the learning outcomes of the students, not impacting the teaching learning process, but we took it whole hog going forward. So we have embraced technology to its optimum, making sure the teaching learning process does not get impacted beyond a point. If your question is, have we replaced 100% online teaching with the physical teaching that was happening? My question will not be 100% yes, because there are some courses where we are still experiencing difficulties of sorts. We are experiencing not only in the terms of course content, but course delivery, course assessment and evaluation. It is not that we have arrived 100%. But as the technology is improving, you talked about your package, so wonderful. It's also catching up. I won't say it has 100% arrived if I ask some pointed questions, right, on certain modules and certain components of this package. We have yet to see the assessments, taken care of the way they used to be taken care of, 101%. We will not get into it. But as we have advanced in our thought process on refining the curriculum, sequencing the structure, looking at delivery mechanisms in a much better, bigger context in a transformed way, also at evaluation, I'm sure technology will find a way. But to me, it will never ever, and it should not, because as I heard the previous panelists, peer learning is one of the things which is missing, and so are many other areas which are missing in the existing online environment. But where there is no way, we have to take recourse to such alternatives, and it has bailed us out. And our faculty, our students have accepted this challenge and converted it into an opportunity. And that is what drives these kinds of initiatives the best way.
Thank you. Roshan Lalji, I understand that you have given an overall view from how the institutions are evolving from a corona perspective and some of the measures you've taken. I would really love if some of the panelists can share more specific stories from their institutions, because they also help, learn the other people and attendees who are today. So I'll go over to Dr. Vikas Singh. Vikas, same thing. The question I'll put to you: how is automation helping you in your student life cycle management? Are there any measures which you'd like to share? Any pros, cons, etc.? If you can and I would like to cover 3 or 4 themes. So if just requesting the panelists to maybe respond to in about 3 to 5 minutes for each question, that would be great. Yeah.
Right, Arpit, and I'll try to limit my talk to 3 to 5 minutes. Arpit, I would say when we talk about life cycle, for student, I think there is a big change, which is happening. Earlier, we were thinking that life cycle of student means date of admission to date of convocation. That means around 4 years to 5 years time. But I believe now that these, new universities, these new systems, and the way students have been exposed to, Coursera and EDX, and the way they have been interacting with these international universities, I think now there is an opportunity before us, maybe using, good ERP systems like Academia or others, which are available. I think we can extend this life cycle of student with university from 4 years to 40 years. What I mean to say here is that, we keep on learning. This ability to learn is very crucial now. My father did his BTech from IIT Roorkee long back in 1962, joined a government, organization, UP Electricity Department, worked there for good 45 years, retired from there, one company, one skill set, and he had a very successful career. This is my 5th job, in my 25 years, 26 years, career. But I think from now on, there is nothing is like, happy retired life. I do not see that happening now. I believe we all are going to live for more than 100 years, thanks to, our, kind of right habits, kind of medical facilities which are available. So, what I learned in my engineering good 26, 27 years back, was a simple language like Fortran. Now, today we are not seeing Fortran anywhere. So what we are seeing today is not going to be relevant in after 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So I want that student life cycle should be so designed by universities that whenever they require some additional skill, whenever they require some additional, tool set, they should come back to the university again from where they graduated, from where they had their post-graduation. They should come back to that system, get that additional skill, and so that life cycle can continue to be very, very long. I believe we need to have such IT systems, such IT backbone, which is not only keeping them tracked as alumni, but also keeping them tracked as how they are growing in their career. Something of ERP mixed with kind of LinkedIn. So we are keeping a track of their career. We are finding out that now they are going to reach, say, a level of vice president of the company in 10 years' time. So we can then approach them and tell them that, look, we have a salesmanship program, we have a financial accounting program, we have this leadership program. You can come back and join us. You can do this 3 weeks, 4 weeks program. It will make you fit for your next role in your career. So life cycle management, we have yet, a lot to be achieved in that direction. I think right now for university, life cycle management of student is only for 4 to 5 years. More during the tenure the student is available in the campus, but there is a lot which can be achieved beyond those 5 years, for those students. And universities can, if they can create some system like this, I think it will be beneficial for both universities as well as those students, because students have some kind of affection to the university from where they are. I did my graduation, post-graduation from Delhi College of Engineering. So whenever I go to Delhi, I go to, I talk about Delhi College of Engineering. There is always a love towards my institution, which is there with all these students. So if we can do something, if we can evolve something around that, I think we can have lifelong learning happening with the universities, with our students. So I think a lot can be achieved in that direction. This is my initial thought, Arpit.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh just covered his concept of a lifelong learning vis-a-vis a short contained 4-year life cycle and systems that can help handle those. He also mentioned edX, and I think it has been a proud moment for India. Dr. Anant Agarwal, who founded edX in MIT and Harvard, is an Indian, and it is indeed it's the highest valued not-for-profit edtech sector company ever in the world. So it's a proud moment, and I'm sure that concept of lifelong learning and the likes of edX will continue post the pandemic. I'll go to Dr. Rupa on that note. Dr. Rupa, again, if you can share, I think Roshan Lalji and Dr. Vikas Singh have shared more sectoral and broad-based themes and ideas. What are some of the initiatives that you have taken at Best IU to really drive some of the automation around the student life cycle? If you can share some of your stories, that would be really valuable.
Sure. Thank you, Arpit. And I will stick to my 3 minutes. We all are most definite that, the real change in any circumstances, or an opportunity, it comes from deep, deep crisis. We are relatively new, as I expressed in the beginning, and since we started in 2018, the technology, LMS, digital tools was not new to us. The transition from classroom sessions to digital sessions, or the blended learning methodology, was quite seamless, is what I would like to say. I have always believed, right since the inception of Best Innovation University in 2018, that it's not far off that in modern times and in times to come, a student from any college, a student from any school, a student from any university, irrespective of the location, will get a degree from either a home university or from where he can take maximum number of courses, resulting in a good balance of economics of good education, anywhere, anytime. And it's all about gig economy now. It's about working anywhere from anytime for anyone. So we've always believed in that, and at Best IU, from the day one, we had our LMS systems in place. We have a 200-acre campus. I have a very able vice chancellor who came back to me in the month of March 2020 and who told me and who expressed, ma'am, how are we going to speak to people who are stripped of faces? It's extremely tough. I know that you relate to this because you have such a wonderful university management system, whereby when the user management here is the key. And we need to use a lot of digital use to engage our students online. Having said that, it is not going to be only digitalized based or digital based learning. It has to be blended in a lot of cases, because as I said, you know, we're very near Bangalore International Airport, and therefore we are very near the Silicon City of India, which is the IT hub of India. And you know, we have about 900 students in the campus in a matter of 2 years, and they are from varied backgrounds, and most of the programs that we offer are practical intensive, labor intensive. So the future is not only with digital education or online education. It's about a very balanced mix of both digital as well as staggered offline teaching. Now, what we did at our universities, we had already LMS systems in place. We had Fedena, we had ERP systems in place. We also have, you know, multiple vendors who are with us for different aspects of admissions, you know, academics, administration, etc. Now, the beauty of this all has been, you know, where I have been tremendously benefited is the use of data analytics. I have not been able to analyze physically, you know, when physical classes used to happen, even with my faculties, you know, the way the data analytics on attendance, on fee structure, on almost virtually everything that we do in the university system. So I think that's the primary and the most important add-on that I have seen with our LMSs and our. Now, again, use of virtual reality. We've not been able to use a lot of virtual reality until now, but I think it's a completely new way to access education, you know, as a real world object. And of course, by incorporating virtual reality in our education systems and in our classroom sessions, I think the students get a very broad, better view and detailed understanding of the context. So this is inevitable. Other than this, what we have done is we have a very robust learning management system, and we have introduced a lot of new digital pedagogies, you know, and we are continuously evolving at it. It is not you know, one solution for all issues or all problems that it is. You know, it's I have realized one thing for sure, and also my faculties and my vice chancellor and everybody in the university team, is that it's not about using digital technologies for teaching and learning. It's but rather approaching it in, you know, and approaching the digital tools from a critical pedagogical perspective. And it's not really about creating a library of video lectures, books, and PDF files. It's really not that. You know, it's about creating digital content and space as valuable sites and framework for information, knowledge, dialogues, and sharing and exchange. So we've been able to do a lot in terms of evaluation, pedagogies, virtual reality, LMS systems, and we are yet evolving. So this is from our side. Best are you.
Thank you so much. That's valuable. Dr. Rupa mentioned about some of the initiatives that their university has taken, and I'll definitely come back to you with a follow-on question there, but I'd like to go to Dr. Jain now. Dr. Jain, tell us, you know, how automation is helping you. What are some of the measures you have taken at the SAGE group? I'm coming much closer to where I'm sitting personally in Indore, so geographically you're probably the closest.
Yeah.
But go ahead, you know, tell us more about what you have done at SAGE.
Yeah.
And any point suggestions.
So first of all, thanks to the technology, because in last 1.5 years, we all have come across, you know, various information technologies which is definitely helping us, not only I mean everybody, students, and whether it is a faculty or a management or vice chancellor, because the dependency on the technology has increased in these 1.5 years many folds. And those people who are who are not using even the smartphones, they all have started. Even the students of class first or KG1, KG2, they have started using mobile phones, and they are learning through online teaching. So, and even the children of farmers who are doing BSc agriculture, who may have not touched the smartphone, they have started using that. So there are great advantages of automation. We have here at Sage Group, we have already implemented ERP system, and most of our activities are being practiced through ERP system, and it has helped us a lot, whether it is an examination form filling or it is an examination conduction, evaluation, declaration of result. And recently we have practiced two more good things, which may be an input for you for the improvement if it is not there. We have taken faculty feedback through our ERP system, and we are getting the integrated form available and of all the feedbacks of a faculty through ERP system, and it is being printed. A report is generated in the form of an IOM from Vice Chancellor to the concerned faculty. So that is a good addition which we have recently done, and it is nicely working. Number two, which we have done, a very unique thing, we are calling it Students Progression Diary, wherein we are capturing all the data of the students, right from their personal information to their medical information to their academics, their extracurricular, co-curricular achievements, then different trainings given to them, impact of those trainings. And on every semester basis, we are evaluating each student and the marks of 250. So on annual basis, we are calculating student progression index, and we would be awarding Student of the Year award on the basis of that student progression index. A student taking admission in BTech and being there for 4 years, they would be able to track themselves that where they were there in the first year and where they have reached at the end of 4th year. So this new practice we have done. Secondly, we are encouraging our faculty members to go for the video preparations. So faculty members are sharing videos with their students. We are uploading those videos on our YouTube channel, our website. And not only this, we are also encouraging the faculty members to prepare the MOOC courses. So, and we have already launched our MOOC portal. So in future, we would like to extend this service to all the students free of charge for the Sage Group. And later on, once we would be sure of the quality, then that service can be extended across the country or across the globe. So all these are the things which have become very, very important in this pandemic. But apart from it, there are a lot of things which we as a teacher and students are missing, like physical interaction, the one-to-one interaction with the student, which we are completely missing. And the laboratory experiments which we used to do physically in the labs while talking to the friends, preparing the files and all that, that is missing. I'll quote one of the example. My elder son was studying, and he has just completed his BTech from IIT Roorkee and placed in Amazon. And the younger one is studying BTech in LNM IIT Jaipur. So yesterday he was doing some practicals on multi-sim software. So when I asked him, did you understand all this, what practicals you are doing? He says that I have not seen, he is a student of electronics. He says, I have not seen capacitor. I have not seen a resistor. I have not seen the color coding. I do not know how to solder it. Still he is doing experiments on operational amplifier and frequency generators, this, that, rectifiers, everything he is preparing on multi-sim software. I mean, so we are learning a lot. We are transferring the knowledge to our students, but still there is a limitation of the technology or that we can say distant learning or whatever. So this part students are missing, project parts they are missing. One more initiative which we have taken here, we have started teaching the students via the concept experiential learning, wherein we are trying to create the environment, actual classroom environment online, so that there is a more discussion with the students and faculty members. So it's not a one-way delivery that the teacher is delivering and students are listening. So this practice we have made, and the second practice we have made is a project-based learning, wherein each student is being exposed right from semester 1 to work in groups and they are making projects. So all these things are the new practices which we have done. As I already told you that we are the new university. So I was given the responsibility to set up the complete system. So all the processes, systems, curriculum, syllabi, everything is being designed as a new. Although we have a reference from our old university, but our system is completely different, and evaluation system is different. Examination, we are practicing Bloom's taxonomy based teaching learning, wherein we are even evaluating how course outcomes are being achieved by the student. So even our paper setting is based on the Bloom's taxonomy. So we definitely, and 1 more minute I will take because I have to join another meeting at 1 o'clock, which is a MOU signing meeting. So nowadays, organizations have shifted from normal to digital mode, and nowadays various organizations are there. Even they have started offering degree programs in online mode only. So we have to accept this fact, and it is a new normal, and we all have to follow that. Your software academia is a very comprehensive one, and I think that if it is installed by any university, it is going to help a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for a variety of topics that you touched upon, and thanks for the feedback for our product as well. I'll change the order a little bit for our next round of questions. I'll go to Dr. Rupa first. She mentioned about a lot of initiatives that they took at Best IU. What kind of challenges you faced while implementing these? So you talked of LMS and some of the other solutions that you built in. Dr. VK Jain pointed about some solutions they've done, likewise the other two luminaries. But what are the kind of challenges you faced? How did you come about it? Because there's an element of change management. Even in our company, we believe that any big change that has to go through an institution or an organization has to go through some logical steps for people to adopt the change more willingly and more efficiently. So what kind of challenges you faced while adopting these changes, and how did you manage those?
Thank you again for the question, Arpit. See, you will examine highs and lows in any new project or change, as you just mentioned, when we implement it. And the only way to address that is to evolve gradually, to have milestones set for yourself, and explore, how it impacts the students, how something impacts the faculties, how it impacts the entire education learning outcomes. Now, the ultimate goal is to make learning enjoyable and meaningful for the learners. With I would say, by creating truthful connections between faculties, the management, and with the students. Now, the first and foremost thing that we did at Best IU was developing the digital infrastructure, because that had to be done right from the scratch. Especially because we are in a backward area, according to the statistics, and that we are in Anantapur district. Bandwidth was always an issue. So this was my first challenge. High bandwidth data sharing. Now, we have a lot of apps and we have a lot of platforms and networks. There we took the maximum time. Second was training the faculties and the students post-pandemic. Although they were interacting with each other in LMS in terms of quiz and sharing ideas and submitting assignments, but that was at a very amateur level. So capacity building of students, of teachers, by giving them the right training about online workshops, through online workshops, about online learning, use of digital tools, use of, Animato or Grammarly, or what can be available for you to make this all very interesting. The first thing we did also was, Arpit, is slice the class timing. Of course, we did use a lot of flipped class methodology, but, we couldn't, after the online mode, take classes for an hour. That was simply not something that we could achieve even till date. Our classes are nothing more than 30 minutes because that's how much you can have the attention span of the students. This is something that we've realized over time. Again, there are different platforms which we try to explore. And these platforms, ultimately, we narrowed down on an ERP system, a very good ERP system from a startup called Fedena, and we narrowed down on Google platform, and a lot of Google, when you buy the entire package is free. So it has multiple features, and we tried and explained these to our faculties and students to make optimum use for a holistic experience. Last but not the least, I would like to speak about assessment and evaluation because that was a very, very big challenge for my faculties, for my staff to digest, that you are going to have an examination completely online. But then when we tried and explained them of what are the benefits, that you would have and how this whole thing works, right through the facial recognition to retina movements to, mouth movements, to clicking their pictures, camera, and determining whether there are other people around you, to, to the questions asked and answered verbally. We explained them that it is foolproof with proctoring and AI. And that's when we could really come over the issues of traditional teaching and build a strong foundation for digital learning and teaching.
You're muted.
Thanks. Yes, thanks, Dr. Rupa, for your points. I think some of them are very valuable for our other delegates here as well. I think you focused on training and you focused on some of the remote proctoring, etc., challenges that you face and how you convinced your staff around it. So that's great. Coming to Dr. Vikas Singh now, in your last response, you talked about lifelong learning, but in order to implement some of these tech initiatives or some new initiatives around your vision, what kind of challenges have you been facing at ITM Raipur, and what kind of steps have you taken to allay that?
Right. Arpit, if somebody, had asked any one of us during the first week of March 2020 that we are going to be all, online in 1 month's time, we all would have, laughed it away that this is not going to happen. But, within 4 weeks, things changed, in such a big way. But, my first point is that Indian higher education system has shown amazing resilience. No teacher, I would say, only 3% of global higher education was online. 97% globally higher education was through, brick and mortar classrooms and lectures. But within 1 month, each one of us, we shifted to online education. Every teacher who was not even aware where to place camera, how much should be the illumination in the, at the time of taking digital lecture. But within I think month and a half, every male teacher, female teacher, they came out as heroes and heroines, knowing fully well where to place camera, where to place the lights and all those things. So resilience has been amazing. And I'll share you one, my personal example. I wrote a book which was I wrote, in fact, a monograph, for my own faculty members, that how, these digital lectures can be taken and, what can be done. It was a simple 35, kind of page monograph. I tell you, my heads mentioned to me, can we write a book around this? I immediately wrote a book, and this book was published, on Kindle and Google and all those platforms in April 2020. And it became one of the most successful, education book last year in Amazon. And it was, I'll show that book to you. This is, and this is the book, as you can see, it's there on Kindle. I think you can see this. This is Paper to Education, simple book, Paper to Screen, Future of Education. This was the book. It became very successful. 95 rupees, was the price. So it sold in huge numbers. And then, I'm trying to reach a particular point. If there is a university in Bablasor, Iran, the department there found this book. Their English department, contacted me that they found the book very interesting. Can they translate this book into Persian language? Then this book was, converted into Persian language again, and this book is there in Persian language, done by University of Mazandaran, Iran. They converted, translated my book into Persian language, same book. So this shows I would say, the eagerness of faculty members to learn, eagerness of teachers to learn. The students were always comfortable using, Snapchat, using TikTok. They were all very comfortable already with, video platforms. The challenge was with the faculty members, especially in higher education. Those young teachers of school education, they're also very savvy with, mobile phones and video talks and all those things. But higher education teachers, teachers like us, our senior heads with 25, 30 years experience, they were not, very acquainted with this, change of technology. I personally believe that was the first challenge, and faculty members have done wonderfully well in that respect. Within 2 months, there are 50,000 higher education institutions. There are 1,000 universities in India, 51,000 higher education system. Each one of them from 3% to 100% in 2 months' time. All government universities, whether they are in metro cities, whether they are in backward districts, each one of them had 100% transfer from physical classroom to online digital education. So resilience has been tremendous by Indian higher education system. Then comes, what Dr. Rupa mentioned, this was the second biggest challenge, was regarding the digital divide, bandwidth, availability of right kind of devices with the student. A student who has, gone back to, because of that lockdown, because of that solution that, our amazing Honorable Prime Minister proposed, that you stay in home, do not roam around, be there in the home, the food will be sent to you and everything, tremendous management by Indian government, I would say. But everybody was not having a good kind of device which was available. Now IT companies did immediately, my lot of students are working in various IT companies, HCL, TCS, all those companies. So those companies immediately, what they did, they sent those laptops and desktops to the people's home, that you can continue work sitting there. So we could do the same with faculty members, that you can come to the campus, you can pick your desktop or you can pick your laptop and you can continue doing the same at your home. But students, they were in far off areas. They were in Himachal Pradesh, they were in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, remote areas, So it was difficult for them to arrange because all the shops were closed. So digital divide, availability of proper bandwidth, all these were challenges which were faced. But then again, immediately I would say there was a solution available, which was LMS. We had a word with our technology partners. They said, you record a small video and share with the kids. That started happening. Then engineering, especially the engineering college had their problems, that how to conduct those lab experiments, how that can be made available to students. Again, there was a lot of chit chat, lot of Reiki was done. We tried to find out some videos from YouTube, from some other open platform sources. We looked at a lot of programs of Coursera, Swam, EDX, Udemy, found out what can be in best mapped with the programs that we are offering. Again, we offered that to students, that you can join those programs. University will make the payment towards those programs, but you can join those programs, and the marks that you are scoring there can be taken as the internal marks for your subject year. So what I'm trying to reach at is that the system kept on evolving. Even today we are evolving. We are talking to you, Arpit, and the amazing presentation which was there. I was just looking at the presentation. There are certain modules which you have shown in your product which are not available, in our existing ERP. Like the kind of analytics that your tool is doing. We had, we created a capstone project, kind of thing. We call it Individual Career Plan, ICP. So what we did here, and this was before the pandemic, it was launched. So it was a very new experiment for us also. What we did there, Arpit, we asked every student right at the beginning that, what you would like to do. You would like to become entrepreneur, or you would like to, join some company and would like to work somewhere. So a student, picked up that, okay, I would like to become entrepreneur. Maybe 5-7% only, picked up, but that they picked up. We immediately took them to the incubation center. We have 2 incubation centers, one by Department of Science and Technology, another by MSME, which have good, nice funding, for projects and prototype manufacturing. So they were trained in that direction. those who said that we are interested in going for, jobs and employment. So we created an individual career plan. So the faculty mentor, one person from the placement department, and one person from the EDC or the incubation center. We made a team of 3, and every student had that 3 people mentoring him, for the entire program duration. If it is MBA for 2 years, if it is BBA for 3 years, if it is BTech for 4 years, if it is B architecture for 5 years. But the individual career plan was, decided that. And then amazing thing happened, all our faculty members, all our departments, they really put in hard work, and they decided, looking at, because that was first interaction with EDX, first interaction with kind of, Coursera and SWAM. They found out that if you want to become software engineer, if you want to work in web technology, if you want to become cloud computing engineer, so from second semester to last semester, which all courses you should do. These 3 courses from Coursera, these 3 courses from EDX, this course from SWAM. So this will be in addition to, and then, look at the regulatory bodies. Amazing thing is happening there also. I'm so proud of my present government and the think tank which is there at Delhi. Look at the relaxation they are bringing.
Dr. Singh, Dr. Singh, I'm sorry, but I'll just come in here because there is a question that around this regulatory stuff as well, which we'll talk about. And I think that's the point you'll come to. I think we have another 10 to 15 minutes. So I definitely want to hear from Roshan Lalji Raina as well about some of the challenges and how they've addressed. And then we'll come to the last round of points by all the esteemed panelists.
Yes,
please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Arpit. I agree no less to each and every panel member as to what kind of challenges they faced and what do they try to do to fix those challenges and convert them into opportunities. I agree no less on each and every word that was discussed. But specifically, 3 things are very critical when we talk about delivery of education. One is the input, which is basically the content. The second is the process, the way it is delivered. The third is the output in terms of assessment evaluation, right? So when it comes to content, we, for the first 2-3 months, we thought we are doing the work. Everyone is trained, whether it is student, teacher, everyone is okay, and we are going ahead seamlessly. So we took stock of the situation after maybe 2 and 2.5 months to 3 months, for about a week, and we discovered so many things, honestly, so many things which were not what we were expecting, right? So as a result of very many feedbacks that happened during those 3-month interval, the content per course, we had to alter it. We had to change the sequence. Believe you me, this is one who can put in nuts and bolts in place rather than, so we had to reschedule the sequence of sessions. The way session plan was made, it was altered, it was changed. As Rupa ma'am said, looking at the attention span of the students, we had prepared the course schedule for a particular time frame. Even those sessions had to be changed from the duration point of view. Third thing, the delivery, the way we had envisaged it will happen, it was not happening. So we had to be the best innovative we could be in the situation. We know we were working from home, the faculty, the students, everybody. But whatever little innovation could be put in place, how do we make sure that the content reaches them? And we are not compromising on the session plan. So even there, delivery had to undergo a tremendous change. Assessment and evaluation. Howsoever amount of technology, sophistication we brought into it. She talked about proctoring, many other things. But honest to you, despite having put in place the best of the best, devised and designed by the best of the best, I looked at the semester 1 result, which had gone manually, and the semester which had gone online as well as offline. I saw there was a trend coming out. So looking at that trend, we had to look at what best we can do in terms of procurative. So resorting to all the mechanisms, I have at this university made it mandatory that there will be, at the end of maybe midterm or end term, there will be one component. You may assign it a weightage of maybe 10%, 20%, but that has to be on the learning outcome, which will be just one-to-one based with the instructor. It's a tall in order, but we had to make sure that the student was there. We experienced so many difficulties, which we can do now also, which we can experience now also. So having learned those kinds of things, so we took care of the content in sequencing it. Maybe a course was shifted from a particular term to another term because of the readiness, as Dr. Jain talked about labs and whatnot, because very many offerings came, but we were not. That is on this side. Second thing, having made sure that each and every one of us was having a good bandwidth, we received complaints from, I remember distinctly, 82 students all over the country of our university. Sir, come what may, you may do your best, you may send your material to us, but we are not making the most of it. That's what is getting reflected on our assessments and evaluations. So, without honest to you, maybe this is just between this discussion I can say, I made sure all those 82 students, quite a bulk of it was from South, from Andhra, she was talking about, Hyderabad. They had, because they were from remote areas, remote villages. So we made sure those 82 students were got into the campus. We didn't do the offline teaching. We continued doing the online teaching for them, along with many other students. But they had the facilities of internet. They had the facilities of hostel. They had the facilities of library. They had mess. Of course, COVID responsive, right? It's not that we compromised on that. So that is one thing. And even in some courses, even in some Arpit, there was a course for our master's program, MBA program, management program. We knew we are defeating the purpose if we don't make sure the students are on campus. There was a biz lab that they had to do because there was a lot of peer learning involved in it and many other things. So we made sure that they were on the campus, and we had made sure all the arrangements were put in place so that the teaching learning outcome is not impacted. So we have done so many measures, reducing the time, looking at assessments, sequencing the schedules, altering the sequence of session plans, but we did everything put in place so that ultimately we are there not to impact beyond a point on the learning outcomes and goals of the university.
Wonderful. Thank you, Roshan Lalji. I think we are nearing the end. I can see Tanya has also logged back in. And that's a nudge for me. So we'll try and close in the last 3 minutes. We are at 1:17. Let's take another 3 to 5 minutes maximum. There's a question from Dr. PSV Ramana Rao as well. We'll come to you, sir, in a minute. I just want 30 seconds. This is a quick fire. Indian mythology mein, there is a thing called Kalpavriksha, in front of which what you stand is what you get. So आप अगर कल्पवृक्ष के सामने खड़े हैं,
Tanya would relate to that. Okay, all right.
So Roshan Lal ji, just in 30 seconds, आप एक कल्पवृक्ष के सामने खड़े हैं, आप क्या technology innovation चाह रहे हैं? What is the technology innovation that you are really wanting and aspiring for to come at you? 30 seconds, any 2-3 ideas you have.
Technology has kept pace with the changing requirements of academics on the teaching learning. If it keeps up the same momentum going forward, and we are able to address the issues and concerns of labs, number one, assessments and evaluations foolproof, I think we'll be there. We'll have a complete hand on online teaching. Even courses like negotiation, conflict management, which demand one-to-one meeting can be taken care of. But technology has not to stop there. It has to keep pace with what are the requirements.
So labs assessments, if they can be done better online, that would be a wish list from Roshan Lalji. Let's come to Dr. Singh. 30 seconds, 2-3 points. You're in front of the Kalpavriksha.
Arpit, my biggest challenge is assessment. We have a new age kind of learning happening right now online, but we are still expecting that the students will be we are going to assess their learning using MCQs, using proctored tests. I think that is not working. We need to have new kind of assessment, more focused on continuous assessment, lots of rubrics, lots of assessment parameters. If ERP can help there, where the faculty can design a rubric, can put it there, and that eye contact, how much time you're available on your screen. If those kind of rubric parameters can be created, and we can assess the engagement level of student, the level of learning of the student. MCQs are not serving the purpose. Proctored examination is not serving the purpose, I would say.
So I understand, Dr. Singh, your wish list is around student engagement and assessment again, if tools can come around that. Dr. Rupa, last 30 seconds for you. What's your wish list?
I'm going to say that intelligent learning apps, they will use artificial intelligence to analyze a particular student, their caliber, and will tailor the delivery of information, will tailor the assessments based on the student's characteristics.
Fantastic.
I think this is the future of education.
Adaptive and personalized assessment and learning is what Dr. Rupa has referred to. So absolutely, I'm happy to share that we are working on many of these themes at academia, but today is not the time to discuss that. Last question we'll take from Dr. PSV Ramana Rao. There's a hand raised there. Tanya, how can he ask a question? Can he type it in, or you'll unmute
Dr.
him?
Ramana Rao, I will try to allow you to talk. If you're in a condition where you can be audible, you let me know. Otherwise, you can type in the question. I'm going to take 5 seconds pause for you to make that decision. Dr. Rao? Dr. Rao, I've unmuted you.
Okay, maybe it's an issue. I think, Tanya, we have covered most of the points we wanted to for today's panel discussion. I think it's been pretty interesting. It has opened up a lot of new avenues, ideas, I'm sure, for myself and also for the people who are attending the panel today. Over to you, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Arpit sir. And you talked about that Kalpvriksh in the Hindu mythology, and I have no shame in admitting that I had no idea about that. And I am going to definitely read up about that after we are done with this conference. And that's going to be something that new that I completely learned today. But there is a similar reference to, if there are any Harry Potter fans here, there is a similar reference to this in the Harry Potter series, where Harry, the lead character, stands in front of the mirror of the Arisent. And then, he can wish or he can see whatever he wishes for. And I think right now, I am standing in front of the Kalpvriksh or the mirror of the Arisent, as I know of it. And I've been sitting here for the last 1 hour listening into all the thoughts that you've shared. And I'm very happy that at the end of the day, I, as a journalist, as somebody who runs a media organization, I'm able to bring in such thought leaders together and, calibrate and deliberate on policies that will impact the education sector in the world. And, I want to tell this to all the attendees as well. In so many of these education conferences that Observe Now does, I hear a lot of our panelists telling each other, this is such a good practice. I'm going to incorporate it in my college. Oh, very nice learning. How did this work out for you? And I know there has been a lot of peer-to-peer interaction, which has led to growth, personal growth for individuals and for universities through these conferences as well. So at Observe Now, we will tirelessly bring these conferences back to all of you, and we will bring in thought leaders and experts such as the ones on these panels today. And the main idea here is also to encourage a peer-to-peer learning, and for all of you to share your best practices with each other. I think that's how we evolve and grow in these uncertain times. New education policy is very progressive, but there are a lot of implementational challenges which all of you leaders need to figure out, talking and consulting with each other, talking and consulting with students and parents. And I think that's the way we will move forward. Thank you so much, Arpit sir. Congratulations on the good work that you're doing. Very impressive. And I think this is the kind of impetus the education industry now needs from the tech side. आप ही हैं वो Kalpvriksh, actually. That was the perfect last question that you asked. One thing that you want to know. I think you should.
तानिया, आप पता नहीं क्यों, मतलब आपको पता है, शायद आप भूल गए इस समय. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, कल्प वृक्षे बख्तर रक्षे नमोस्तति गजानन पाशे पाने चक्राचाने मोक्षे दायतम अन्नत. ये कश्मीरी में हम लोग भजन गाते हैं सवेरे सवेरे. कल्प वृक्षे Bhakten Rakshe Namustati Gazanana.
अच्छा सर, मैं मम्मा से पूछती हूँ. एक्चुअली मेरे ग्रैंडफादर करते थे वो, शायद प्रेपियन के टाइम करते हैं ये. तो but I will, that was a new learning.
There is one request, if you can share the contact details of the panelists, and especially Arpit ji, I would love to connect with him, regarding academia. So it would be nice if you can share the contact details, of the panelists with us. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely, sir. Right away.
Thank you, Tanya, for organizing this. It was good to listen to words of wisdom from Rupa, Vikas ji, Jan Saab, and above all, Arpit ji, who was coordinating this session so well. And it was fascinating to know about the software. Yes, as we said, we can't say we have arrived on all the dimensions and domains, but there are much better components in this software which we have not seen in many others. The analytics part of it is beyond ERPs that we are talking about. So I see something coming up which will be in tune with times ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And the recording of this session would be available on Observe Now's Facebook page after the session. So if anybody wants to review or share in their ecosystem, you can go to our Facebook page at Observe. Share it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I hope all of you
Wonderful.
have a nice day and a happy weekend ahead.
Take care all.
You too.
Lovely meeting
stay
everyone.
Safe, stay safe.
Bye-bye.
That's all I can say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the attendees as well. Thank you.